Hillary.com. It is early in the morning, and I have been out sick for the last few days. Remember a couple days ago I talked to you? I said that my daughter had the stomach bug. Well, like every good mom, guess who got it? So it's been a few days, but I was able to get up this morning and go on CNN and talk about the events of this past week. And let me tell you, Hillary Clinton's got herself a problem. Because according to a latest Rasmussen report, the latest one we have, 50% of Americans, and that's all Americans, all minorities including, believe that race relations are worse off today than they were when Barack Obama was elected. Wait a minute. Isn't Barack Obama? Okay. I don't want to talk about color of skin because I don't believe that racism is something that is just deals with one color of skin. I think racism happens across the board. In fact, I'm having an argument right now on Twitter with a gentleman, who calls me racist. And I said, how do you know? You don't know anything about me. He says, well, just look at you. I said, that's racist right there. You assume just because I have blonde hair, light skin, that I am racist. You had no idea about my past, my background, my friends, or what my opinions are. Oh, I'm a Republican too. That probably adds into it. This whole conversation this week, I don't understand how people can justify in any way killing police officers. How is that a solution to any problem, especially innocent police officers that are there? Scotty Hughes, rightalerts.com. You can go and look at the articles I'm going to be talking about here at actual website. But I want to say, you look at the events of this week and how is this going to help the problems? Hillary Clinton right now has to decide, how does she run and say that, she's going to improve race relations? But last time I checked, her party's in power. We've had 8 years of President Obama. It seems like race relations seem to be worse off today. What is she going to do differently? And how does she say things where she doesn't insult the commander in chief? That's a hard one she has to run, where Donald Trump is coming out. And it's interesting when you look at, I want to show a couple pictures here. If you look at the statements between the two parties, in no way does Hillary Clinton obviously first goes out and mentions, well, actually, let me go to the Democrats. When they actually put their press statement out, their press statement, and this just shows where their priorities are, talk about first about the incidents that happened in Baton Rouge and Minneapolis. And then in the fourth paragraph, does it talk about that we need to, tonight's shooting of officers in Dallas is unacceptable. Fourth paragraph. That's where the Democrats, their immediate placement is going to be on racism. They want to sit there and they want to fill this argument that they want to create this race war. That works in their book for some reason. Where Republicans from the statement one talked about that we need to sit here and we need to back up our police officers, this cold-blooded killing in Dallas. And what gets me so much, and this is the one thing, President Obama comes out and does this press conference where he talks about black statistics of officers who kill, how many, unfortunate black people that have been killed in these incidents. This is a real hard issue, by the way, for me to talk about, because no matter what I say, somebody somewhere is going to grab me and say, look, this is an example of her being racist. But President Obama comes out and he talks about these black statistics that have been, targeted by police officers. Yet the next day, when once again we know that people were targeted because of their color of skin, which was white, you don't hear the president talk about that. You don't hear, he just says, oh, these people, they were targeted because they were law enforcement. No, that was one reason they were targeted. The other reason was because they were white. Let's say it. That's why we're not able to have a real conversation, create solutions on racism here, is because we're not being honest across the board, that racism is existing on the other side as well. But that doesn't fit into their narrative. And as long as they're going to sit there and turn a blind eye, or they don't want to talk about it, they're never going to get a solution, which makes me wonder, is that their whole goal in the first place? There's some statistics that came out that Daily Wire put out. And these are really interesting when you look at them. And they're scary, actually. Did you know that more whites and Hispanics die from police homicides than blacks? More. 12% of white and Hispanic homicide deaths were due to police officers. Only 4% of black homicide deaths were the result of police officers. Now, that's not saying they weren't justified. That wasn't saying that these folks weren't aggressors. But that's just, but yet you don't see those groups out there marching or sitting there saying, we're going to go target police officers. Then you also look at, black and Hispanic police officers were more likely to fire a gun at blacks than white officers. That's what scares me right now. Are we getting to a police stage where it's going to have to be, unfortunately, where these officers are just going to back off? If you're a certain color skin, you're not going to pursue a crime, or you're not going to pursue someone committing a crime just because of their skin color. That's, I have to tell you, I put the question out there yesterday on Twitter. I'll ask you, if your child came home today, and said, I've just been accepted into the law enforcement academy, what would you say? I mean, obviously you'd be proud. We're very, very proud. These guys are heroes. They are absolute heroes. But at the same time, would you not be scared? And depending on what community they go in, I mean, I have several friends who are police officers, several spouses who yesterday, I know they held their officer a little bit tight, a little bit tighter before they left the door going, we know these officers are being targeted. We saw yesterday events in the last 48 hours in Tennessee, here in my home, in Bristol. We saw it in Missouri. We see now these police officers. In fact, you look at what's happened. You saw the two events that happened in Baton Rouge and Minneapolis, which we can talk about those, but all the factors are not necessarily coming out. We saw these riots. We saw this conversation before we actually knew the facts of the case. We're seeing now in Minneapolis, there's rumblings, and I don't always take conspiracy theories, but I do when I see rumblings going around. We've not heard the release of the police officers, their actual tape when they pulled over the young man in Minneapolis. We didn't hear what they called in. They just said it was because of a broken tail light. That's what the girlfriend said. We've not actually heard what the officers have said. We have not heard what they actually called in and said. There's rumors that there's more to this story than what we're being told. But once again, does it fit into the narrative? You look down on what happened in Baton Rouge. That's a whole nother issue. These so far today, and this is what's very scary if you look at it. In the United States, 26 police officers have been killed, shot in the line of duty. That's in 2016. That's up 44% from 2015. These police officers are starting to be targeted and unfairly targeted. The majority of them, sure, there's bad apples, I'll admit. That's in every career field. There's bad apples that do things. However, I think it's very interesting that we're so quick to judge these police officers in the incidents in Minneapolis and Baton Rouge, these men and women who have joined this law enforcement to protect the law. And yet, real quick, you have these people out there that are ready to riot or actually take matters in their own hand, like what we saw in Dallas. That does not work for me. And now they're saying Black Lives Matter has come out and they've condemned this. You know what? I think you need a little bit more than that. I want a public statement. I want a press conference. At least the Black House Caucus, they came out and said we condemn these things. You need to take within your own steps, within your own community. You saw what happened in South Carolina. I mean, there was a flag hanging on a wall that they used to sit there and paint this whole thing. Guess what? The flag got taken down from state. We need to take care of our own communities. And when you're looking at, they sit there and say, they crashed. Congratulations, Chicago. You crossed over the threshold, 2,000 shooting victims this year. 2,000. We need to start within our communities. We need to start within our solutions within our communities. And that's a big part right now that people need to be, it's very one-sided in these conversations that we're having, that you can sit there and you can demonize the police. You can say that unfortunately, I heard yesterday the rhetoric from all of these people who on other issues I respect coming out saying that, their son needs to know that their daddy might come home one day in a body bag. I mean, these folks are not being targeted out of just randomness. There's always, it's not like they're just coming out and, oh, by the way, say good morning, Lulu. Say good morning. Yeah, sorry, dog. It's morning. There's only a few of us up this hour. These are not just randomly being targeted. And there's actually an action. And I'm getting really upset at the response. Well, I don't need to respect police officers. I don't need to say yes, sir, or no, sir, when a police officer comes up to me. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I have to. My children have to. My husband has to. We do need to respect police officers. And guess what? If you treat them from respect from the very beginning, there's probably a less likely chance, even if it is a bad apple, that it will escalate to these kind of situations. That right there, that we've replaced the idea of respect with hate, and there's nothing good that can come from it. So, on the other hand, one other funny, scary part in all of this that gets me is that I woke up this morning to see that President Obama has committed 1,000 U.S. soldiers over to Poland. So I'm going to say a very controversial comment, but I have to think, I guess if we can't do a race war today to break out, we're going to create World War III with Russia, because that's what the president, I guess he's covering all sides right now, because nothing he is doing right now, no standard of leadership he is giving, is actually creating a solution to the issues that are facing us here at home or abroad. Scotty Hughes, RightAlerts.com. Happy Saturday morning. I'm glad to be back with you guys. I will be back on tomorrow morning, and imagine the conversation will probably be around the same issue. But every day, hopefully, we'll get the facts out about the Minneapolis, about Baton Rouge, and we can see how the candidates are going to handle this going forward. Have a great Saturday, folks. Yeah. How do we start?